All right, let's get started. I am Tony Nuzzo from Approved Contact Network. We provide products. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure my screen was sharing, sorry. We provide products that help with improving productivity, mainly within teams right now. We started with a calendar bot that helps people share calendars across networks and across organizations, and making it easier to schedule meetings and calls. We also have an integrated conference bridge with Teams calls, Teams meetings, and then our texting product that we'll be talking about here today. So with that, let's jump right into it. So basically, this is kind of an old saying that has really gained some new meaning over the past 2 years, right? Everything is better in pajamas. So basically just identifying the fact that hybrid is here to stay. It's not really much of a surprise anymore since the pandemic started, but most companies are implementing some form of hybrid at this point, and I imagine many of you can see it in your own companies, very likely. So of course, right, we know that, but what are some of the impacts of this hybrid that it has on the environment? So businesses are being challenged today with employees that want to call and text from their own personal devices, but they don't want to carry two phones always either. And younger employees especially are expecting more work to be available via their mobile. I know my kids no longer have two hands. It's kind of one hand and then a mobile device. So with that said, this is causing a lot of headaches for IT, especially their security teams. They don't have good ways to evaluate or archive these texts, especially in this bring your own device, BYOD environment. And in particular, where legality is critical. Think like healthcare and law offices, things like that. This also puts limits on teamwork and collaboration. So when there's tech involved, like Microsoft Teams, that really helps out. But when people are using their own devices and things like that, it's really hard to collaborate with them because all that data is on their own device. In fact, information professionals are using up to 10 different apps over 25 times per day on average, which is really a productivity hit that we're hoping to help out, resolve a little bit here. So, and obviously that level of context switching can be painful and lower productivity. And those interactions with your phone all day that go along with those apps that they're touching, like on their, during their workday, can really take that hit on productivity, and it only gets worse from there as you add mobile devices to that. So what do we do? How do we start to solve these pain points? Essentially, we start to enhance things like Teams to allow better collaboration. Teams is already really good at collaboration and helping with that, but we're trying to add on to that and help out there. So things like data collection and having integration in one place, if it's done right, can really boost productivity, right, and allow data to be more accessible than it is today. And one way that we're doing this is supporting this is by integrating text into Teams. So this is especially helpful for support teams, IT, sales, storefronts, areas where collaboration is really common outside of your own organization. So imagine using your existing Teams phone number for texting as well, feeling like you're utilizing your cell phone while you're sitting at your desk multitasking. Essentially, let's say that I'm like pulling inventory for a customer, and that customer, let's just say it's Kate, she arrives and she's outside and texts her arrival. So now I need to bring her order out to her in the parking lot where she's waiting. But there's 5 or 6 of us pulling all these different orders. And I mean, I'm not sure which one of us has Katie's order or whatever, but with texting into Teams, we can all see these texts come in. We can look for who has Kate, and then they can run that order right out to her in the parking lot, for example. And then we can also now archive that text because it's in Teams. We can archive it and know when Katie arrived. We could send it to our CRM. If Katie's a long-term customer, we can just get a better idea of the patterns, combining her other data with these texts that are coming in, and we just get to know more about her and our collaboration with her as an organization. With texting for business, we have basically a UI that mimics your phone. So it's something similar to basically everyone on the planet knows and feels these days. You can call and text from the same number you're using today. The company now owns the data, which sounds scary, but from a data perspective, from a company legality perspective, it's really important. Um, and it's not just on some random phone somewhere that just got run over or dropped in a lake or something like that, and then you lose all that data, right? So now the data is visible to others, not just the one holding the phone at that point in time. And finally, we do have customers that are actually eliminating cell phones altogether. So where they were giving cell phones to employees over time, they were able to eliminate those by allowing texting to be into this environment. So Teams users now will have easy access, and they won't have to go to another application. So with single sign-on, you're already in Teams, and then you're texting from, and then you're also able to use texting for business. We use native features as well, such as notifications, so that when a new text arrives, you can quickly jump to that new text. And we can also connect the data with various integrations to external applications, such as things like data loss prevention, things like that. Talking a little bit more about integrations, because that's super important for many organizations that have reached out to us already. We can integrate things like with call center apps. We can connect to CRMs, as I mentioned before, which is kind of a big request. And we even use Power Automate, and we can even use Power Automate to schedule processes. In many cases, we're just waiting for those requests to come in to determine which apps to integrate with. But we definitely will be able to do that in a pretty easy fashion, if you will. Also wanted to point out too that we know that some people are not wanting their data sitting out in the cloud. So we also have the benefit of the database that supports this app sitting on your Azure tenant, which we could talk about more. And this is a way to know that your own data, and that it is your own data, and you're in control of it. So, yeah, let's step on to the next thing. So Teams is really becoming your new cell phone, right? I mean, all right, maybe it's not really becoming your whole cell phone. I mean, I'm still waiting for the Wordle app on Teams. It's not there yet, so I still need my cell phone. But in reality, texting for business allows you to treat a text like any other business application. Communicate and collaborate without having to open yet another app or give your customers and clients your personal cell number. You can do all this with the ability to archive and connect that information to another line of business apps, or if it's helpful at all, we're even hearing that some of our clients are changing the way they communicate with teams and their customers with this. So with that said, let's take a quick look. I'm not going to do a demo right now. You could definitely call and schedule one, or email us and schedule one. But let's take a quick look at some of the features. So again, from just a basic perspective, the look and feel of the app is very text-like. So down the left side you have the numbers that have texted into your number, and then on the right side you have the interaction of the individual texts. When you create a new message, you do have the ability to enter phone numbers, and even enter a group of phone numbers, or send the text individually, and then you just send. So it's very similar to what you're used to. We have the ability, as we mentioned, MMS and SMS messaging, and attaching images, things like that. We could definitely do that, as you can see here. And then once you have a phone number that comes in, if you don't have it connected to a CRM, you can still update that number. If you know it's going to call back, you can add a person's name, or any kind of phrase or whatever you want that defines what that phone number means to you as an organization. And that will be memorized in the app. And every time that phone number texts again in the future or calls, you'll have this information. It'll be identified here. Additionally, as I mentioned, we do use the activity feed. And so when a new message comes in, you can see here that this message came in, and then when I tapped on it in the activity feed, it went directly to the message. And you could see, by the way, this is my son, and the shot was good. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit. So to reach out to us, texting for business, just you can email sales@approvedcontact.net. That's the best way to do that, and just tell them Tony sent you. So pretty quick discussion here from my side, but I think people understand texting pretty well, so there wasn't a lot of definition there. But yeah, I'd love to take any questions now if anybody has any.
Great. Thank you, Tony. Thanks for that great information. We just have a few minutes left in this session, so we want to use the remaining time to ask you some questions that you hear about texting for business for Microsoft Teams. Does texting for business support Microsoft calling plans?
So yes, it does. We can pretty much at this point in time take any phone number that you have that you've already had in Teams, that you're using in Teams, and apply it to the texting format.
Okay, great, thanks. Another question for you. Can we run it in our own Azure?
Yeah, I did mention this a little bit during the presentation. But the answer is yes to that. So it's actually not out there right now, but it's being wrapped up where the database, we can use the texting database and allow you to put it into your own Azure environment. And then when the texts come in and when they're archived and saved off and anything that you see in the app will all be running from your own tenant.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure.
And one last question for you, Tony. Will texting for business support large list texting?
Yes, I think what that question means is that if I have a large collection or group of people, can I text to a large group? And the answer to that is yes. I showed a little bit on the slide where I had like 3 phone numbers showing there. You can add as many phone numbers or import as many phone numbers as you want. And I think there's like a texting limitation of if it's more than 20, they will go out as individual messages. You can also identify that in the app. There's a checkbox to say whether you want them to go out as individual messages or go out as a group message. So as long as it fits in the group criteria of number, it'll go out as a group message. If it's larger than 20, it'll go out as an individual message. So yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. We all those great answers. We've had some great questions come in. So if a reminder to our audience, if you have any questions for our presenters, please pop those in the Q&A. We have come to the end of today's session. I've posted a survey link in the Q&A panel. We would like your feedback on this event and hear what you'd like to see in future events, and we thank you for your participation in that. A reminder to everyone that you may access the recording via a link that will be delivered by email within 5 to 7 business days post-event. I'd like to extend a big thank you to all of our presenters today, Ryan, Michal, and Tony, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today. Please stay safe and have a great rest of your day or evening. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, thanks.